It's so great to have you here, Professor Marv Sweeney.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to be here.
Professor Sweeney is a professor of Hebrew Bible at Claremont School of Theology at Willamette University in Salem, Oregon. And we've known each other for about 10 years now. Yeah, I took many of your classes back in Claremont, and one of them was History of Jewish Thought. That has been quite influential to me as a scholar today. You're one of the few Jewish scholars who work in a quite unique space, Protestant Methodist Seminary, training pastors for church ministry. Mm-hmm. How have your experience been so far?
It's been challenging, but also it's been a tremendous opportunity. I had been trained at Claremont. And in fact, when I first came to Claremont, I had wanted to study Ugaritic and form criticism and historical work. But one of the things I learned at Claremont from my Protestant professors, Rolf Knierim, my doctoral advisor, German doctoral advisor, Jim Sanders, Presbyterian, and William Brownlee, also Presbyterian, they were all committed theologians in their own religious traditions. And as I saw them and learned from them working, I began to ask myself, well, why couldn't there be somebody working in Jewish biblical theology? And while I'm not the first to have come to a Christian institution to do that, I am one of the early ones. John Levinson at Harvard would be an example, and actually a sort of a role model for me. We've known each other for years, and coming to Claremont gave me the opportunity to think about what constitutes Jewish biblical theology, and why should it be done, and what opportunities does it offer, both for Jews to understand our own tradition and for Christians to understand Judaism as well as the Bible that Christians read.
You've been pushing quite hard, especially in the past, I would say 20 years, for reading Hebrew Bible after the Shoah.
Yes.
And you, in fact, has published quite an important work on that. Can you tell us a little bit, why do you pick the term Shoah instead of Holocaust?
The term Holocaust was first coined, I believe, by Elie Wiesel in one of his books, and he used it because of the imagery of fire and burning, to capture the imagery, if you will, of the death camp ovens that were used to burn the bodies of Jews who were murdered by the Nazis and their collaborators in Europe. But the problem that comes up with the term Holocaust is that in the King James Bible and elsewhere, the traditional translation for the Olah, the daily whole burnt offering, is oftentimes Holocaust. And insofar as the Olah, you'll find it discussed in Leviticus 1, it's an offering that is meant to honor God. It is burned up entirely on the altar of the temple or whatever institution in which the offering was made. And it's an offering that is understood as a means not only to honor God, but to sanctify the relationship between Jews and God. So it's got a positive connotation. But Shoah means destruction. And the meaning of destruction is actually much better suited to describe what happened to Jews in the Shoah. It becomes a matter of thinking about what impact does anti-Semitism have in a much broader social and political and cultural milieu than simply Nazi Germany, because it's a very widespread phenomenon throughout the world. And it's not limited only to Europe. We see anti-Semitism all over the world. Up here in Oregon, there are issues up here.
Your book on Jewish Mysticism is coming out pretty soon. Can you tell us a little bit about that project?
I wrote it because I needed a book that I could use to teach my Jewish mysticism courses. I've been teaching the course since 1985 from my first position at the University of Miami, found it to be very interesting and very valuable theologically because it played a major role in prompting me to think about issues involving the Shoah, and that's the relevance for that for Jewish thought in general, but also for Christian thought, because Christians need to think about this too.
Yeah, so Marv, if there is one word that can describe well you as a scholar, what would it be?
I would say more than one word: Jewish and critical, Jewish and historical, but fundamentally Jewish. I'm a Jewish Bible scholar, and I study Bible as a way to understand the role of the Bible in relation to Judaism and the role of the Bible in relationship to later Jewish thought and text, and want to make that knowledge known to Christians as well, so that Christians can rethink their understanding of Judaism based on our earlier discussion, because it's a crucial issue for Christians as well.
And Marv, I think that level is powerful, because you have taught me a lot about Jewish tradition.
Thank you.
And how it influenced our reading of the scriptures and things like that. And again, we are so thankful to have you here, and thank you so much for being with us here.
It's my pleasure, and thank you for having me here.
Thank you.